Jennifer Lawrence is, of course, the gorgeous young actress who everybody loves. I mean, she's basically America's sweetheart now because she actually acts like a normal person. And I think people like that because most of the time when you see celebrities, their douchey level is on about 50-11. And that's annoying to people, man. They're like, why can't you be down to earth? Okay, we get it. You pretend for a living. Good for you. Why can't you just act like a normal person? Well, she actually does. So she stands out. Well, at a film festival recently, she caused a little bit of a controversy because, quote, upon spotting Gravity director Alfonso Cuarón, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm probably not. Forgive me for not being with it on issues like this. She spotted him in the crowd, and Lawrence allegedly cried out, quote, "I broke out my rape scream for you," as she grabbed his shoulders and screamed, "Ah!" into his face like a, quote, crazed fan or a woman in distress. So she was joking around and trying to say, like, she was excited to see him, so she did the rape scream, "Ah!" Right? I mean, that's more or less what happened. That appears like that's the case. So now she's being accused of trivializing rape. Quote, "Lawrence is painted as the goofy girl next door that everyone wants to be best friends with, but would you really want to befriend someone that describes excitement as a rape scream?" That was written by Bustle's Matri Meta. Quote, "It might seem like a joke to Lawrence, but rape is never an acceptable topic to joke about, especially for a star in a young adult franchise that so many young girls look up to." Another example, Crushable's Alexis Rhiannon said, quote, "By her blasé use of the terminology, it seems likely that she's been lucky enough never to be in a situation necessitating that type of scream, or else I hope she wouldn't throw it around so casually." And those are just two examples. There are many more people who were very upset with J-Law, as they call her. And look, man, I mean, my response to this situation is the same that it is with all situations like this and similar to this. We have to stop. We have to stop because every week I'm doing a story about somebody somewhere outraged by a joke or some lighthearted banter or something that doesn't involve malice. I'm now starting to think that this is the stuff that people get outraged about when, number one, their lives are perfect, so they don't have any real problems, and number two, they don't read about serious issues like climate change, for example, income inequality, war, corruption, and all the incredibly serious stuff that people should be outraged about. That's the stuff you should be writing scathing articles. These blistering, venomous attacks where you're like, how dare this be the case and that be the case? But they don't do it about that. They're doing it about, they said a word that made me uncomfortable and I didn't like it, and so we're going to act like you should be fucking censored or something. And here's the point. The whole idea of outrage at something that's racist or sexist or offensive, it was originally about malice intent. So in other words, if the person's goal is to hurt, then it makes sense to call them out and say, what the fuck, man, you're crossing a line. That's really douchey of you. So for example, if we're talking about 1960 and it's a old white dude in Alabama who's calling Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. the N-word and using it in a very derogatory way, as of course would be the case, then you say, you know what, thought police, time to step in and go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Word police, or PC police as it's called, to step in and go, hey, fuck you, man, that's fucked up. You know, it makes sense in many circumstances to get angry at, hey, you said something that crosses a line. But when we do it about stuff like this, it now becomes the boy who cried wolf outrage. You know, because now when you have something serious to say, people go, well, I'm not going to take you seriously because the last 5 times you were mad about something somebody said, it turned out to be, you know, not really all that serious. And the implication is from these people like, would you look at that? Jennifer Lawrence, I guess she's pro-rape. I mean, look at her. She's joking about rape. Obviously, she's in favor of it. But do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? Is Jennifer Lawrence sitting around at night going, you know, the world would be a lot better if people got raped more often? I mean, it's a silly way of looking at the situation. And what this reminds me of is a few things. I mean, the other week we covered how Charles Barkley on NBA on TNT, he always jokes whenever anybody brings up San Antonio when they're talking about the Spurs. He's always like, there's some big old women down there. And he repeats it over and over and over. And then, I guess the liberal blogosphere caught up to it, even though he did it all the fucking time. But I guess this time he did it a little too much, so they wrote articles about how he's fat-shaming and he's anti-fat people and this and that. And it's like, no, Charles Barkley doesn't think that fat people are inferior and they don't deserve rights. He's doing something we call joking around, okay? Everything should be on the table to be joked about. I mean, that's the whole idea of being a comedian or being a commentator and having fun with things. I mean, if we had to shut people up whenever they say anything offensive, I would have been off the air the first day. Every day, I go after Muslims, I go after Christians, I go after all religions, I go after conservatives nonstop. I mean, I make my living off of offending people. There's nothing wrong with offending people. We have to allow for freedom of speech and freedom of thought and for people to say things that might make you uncomfortable. You don't have a right to not be uncomfortable, okay? And that's what they're doing by going after Jennifer Lawrence, by saying something that didn't come out the exact right way and wasn't totally PC. So it reminds me of that. It reminds me of Jimmy Fallon when he joked about Hillary Clinton's pantsuit, and Think Progress wrote a whole blog about how about we never joke about anything women wear ever? Let's stop being sexist. It's not sexist to joke about that. Sexism is saying women are inferior, and you believing that in one way or another, and portraying it or pushing for policies that go in line with that. The idea of making a joke about a woman, and so we can't do any jokes about women ever, that's insanity. There would be nothing left to joke about if we can't joke about fat people, can't joke about women, can't joke about white people, can't joke about black people, can't joke about we can't joke about anything because something's always going to piss somebody off. And the last thing, you know what else this reminds me of? The cancel Colbert nonsense. Remember that? How they acted like Colbert was being racist when Colbert was mocking racism. And it wasn't even Colbert specifically. It was the Twitter account run by Comedy Central that he doesn't run that made a joke about, remember how the owner of the Redskins set up some sort of a charity that is going to give to Native Americans. And he had announced like, oh, yes, I'm doing this, but I care deeply about the community. So he was joking about that and said, yeah, I'm going to set up the Ching Chong Ding Dong or whatever group to support Orientals or something. And, of course, the idea was I'm mocking the racism of the Redskins owner by showing how insensitive I am by pretending I'm setting up this thing while being insensitive, right? So he's mocking racism. But people went after him as if he was being racist. Because, oh, you said ching chong ding dong, and that's racist in and of itself. There's no room for that. Enough with the PC police and the thought police and the word police. Look, the thing that really pisses me off is that I'm sure I agree with these same people on policy issues. I'm sure they want to raise the minimum wage and end all the wars and, get rid of the corruption in our political system and do all that stuff. But they drag us down. They drag me down because they make the rest of our arguments look sillier because you're putting a bad face on the movement. You're giving a bad name to all liberals as the overly sensitive people who never want to laugh and don't have a sense of humor. You need to stop with it.